Tuesday, May 27. This is News Tonight here on GHOne Television with me, Awisi, Dede, Djangay. Let's take a look at our headlines tonight. Leading the pack tonight, Deputy Education Minister hints of roping private senior high schools in free SHS program. Join us on Insight as we delve deeper with reactions from various associations in the education sector.
Senior high schools to participate in the delivery of the free senior high school program.
And also in a bulletin, Ghana Embassy in Washington, D.C. to resume operations on Thursday, May 29, after closure following allegations of fraudulent operations. Nearly a decade after government promises to make Accra cleanest city in Africa, we assess the state of the city in a special feature. And also in the bulletin, as Parliament resumes, a Speaker warns not to shelter MPs against legitimate investigations from security agencies as majority reviews legislation for removal of justices of the Supreme Court is in the offing. And on the international front, 3 former Algerian presidential candidates sentenced to 10 years in jail for corruption. We have details of these and many more coming up shortly. Stay with me. It's always a delight to bring you the news. The news is coming to you live from our Platinum studio here in Accra, and it's also streaming live on Facebook at GHOne TV. Tonight, the Ghana Embassy in Washington, D.C. will resume full consular services on Thursday, May 29, following a temporary shutdown linked to a major corruption scandal. The closure, which began on May 26, was part of an emergency, restructuring after an internal audit exposed a long-running visa and passport fraud scheme. Investigations revealed that a locally hired IT officer, Fred Quatting, created an authorized link on the embassy's website. In response, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs recalled all its posted staff from the embassy back to Accra, suspended all local hires, and dissolved the IT department. A new leadership team of experienced diplomats has now been assigned to oversee the mission and implement structural reforms. An IT task force has also been deployed to reconfigure the embassy's digital systems and eliminate any unofficial or unauthorized access points tied to the fraud. The matter is now with the Attorney General for possible prosecution, and the Auditor General has been directed to conduct a full forensic audit to assess the financial losses involved in this issue. Despite the disruption, the ministry emphasized the importance of these sweeping actions to restore accountability and integrity across Ghana's diplomatic missions. Well, it's time to have our biggest story for tonight on Insight. Now, in a bid to phase out the double-track system, government has hinted at extending the free SHS policy to cover private schools beginning next academic year. This was disclosed during the announcement of the revised guidelines for the selection of schools for candidates preparing to write the upcoming BEC exams. Let's hear the Deputy Minister of Education, Dr. Clement, who spoke to the media on the development.
We have been working very, very diligently to bring on board private senior high schools to participate in the delivery of the free senior high school program. Meetings have been held, engagements have been done, and we are very certain that with the diligence that we expect from our side and the eagerness of the private schools to participate, the private schools would deliver in their participation. We believe very strongly that in fulfilling this manifesto campaign promise, this is going to serve as an artery in helping us bring an end to what we all describe as the obnoxious double-track system.
Well, the Deputy Minister for Education also announced new guidelines for school selection for the 2025 BEC candidates. The announcement requires candidates to select their preferred schools before sitting for the examination.
The school selection exercise exists to allow prospective candidates to submit a list of their preferred second cycle institutions to be placed in after their basic education certificate examination results are released. In view of this, a selection form is given to parents, guardians of these BEC candidates by the head teacher of the junior high school the awards attend, and parents, guardians are required to fill it out. Friends of the media, it is important to note that parents may seek guidance from their junior high school authorities in filling out the school selection forms. Parents are entreated to take a keen interest in this school selection exercise, as this will determine the high school their awards will attend after the completion of their basic education. No head of school or teacher is permitted to fill out the school selection form of any candidate without the consent of the parent or guardian.
Meanwhile, coordinator of the Free Senior High School Secretariat, Benita Senadia, gave further details on the selection process, which is set to run from May 27 to June 6, 2025.
The 2025 Basic Education Certificate Examination candidates will be undergoing the school selection exercise. This all-important activity is starting Tuesday, 27th May, and ends Friday, 6th June 2025. Candidates who wish to enter SHS TVET schools must, with guidance from parents, guardians, and school authorities, select 7 schools in total, 5 main and 2 alternatives. The school selection form must be signed off by a parent, guardian, and submitted to the head teacher of the JHS attended. It is important to know that making a good selection is very important to the education of our children. I would therefore urge parents and guardians to spend some time of their busy schedule to undertake this exercise. It's very, very important, parents and guardians.
Well, let's have a conversation on this particular matter. Damascus Oturosong is the president for the Ghana National Association of Private Schools, and he joins me on the bulletin. Damascus, grateful for your time. I want to find out from you, free SHS is usually associated with public schools. Now the private schools are being asked to come on board. Good news for you?
Excellent news for us. Let me take this opportunity to appreciate your listeners, particularly all those who patronize private schools across the country. I think this is something we have been proposing since the policy was promulgated in 2017. We proposed to the former government that one means of ending the double track system is to bring the private schools on board the free SHS, because you would be able to offload excess students from the public sector into the private, so that there will be no need to go for a double track system. Thankfully, there's a government which has come to power and seen wisdom in bringing private schools on board. So I must tell you that we are very excited about it, and we are all embracing it, doing everything in our power to ensure that the policy succeeds.
This means that there will be extra enrollment, huge enrollment. Is the private school association, are you ready for such huge numbers?
Oh, absolutely. I can tell you that, our enrollments have dwindled by almost 80% since the 3SHS came on board.
Why is that so?
Of course, because a lot of the students that used to come to our sector this time prefer the public schools, because they get to go to school for free. So because of that, our numbers dwindle, and we have huge structures across the country which are uninhabited. So as for being ready to host students in their numbers, I can tell you we are more than ready for it. We have classroom accommodation, we have dormitories which are awaiting the intake of students, and we are ready to go as and when the policy begins.
Private schools depend heavily on funding, tuition for support. This free SHS situation, do you foresee any challenge in the future because of this policy?
Well, the challenge I anticipate maybe with late releases of the bursaries for our schools to run. I expect this to be a kind of bursary system where government pays per student to the various private schools. And usually we collect our fees in advance. Ahead of the commencement of a school term, we collect our fees. When you do that, you are able to plan better in order to run your system. So if monies released from government don't come early, I can imagine that many of our school managers will have a hard time running their schools. So the only thing we will urge government to do is to usually release disbursements promptly to the schools so that we can run our system.
Okay, Damascus, kindly hold on for me. We have on Zoom education specialist, Divine Pay. I'll come back to you with some follow-up questions. But Divine Pay, good to have you on the program. From a policies perspective, how feasible is this?
All right, thank you, and good evening to your viewers. Let me start by saying this is not the first time we are going to see collaboration between governments and private entities to run education. It is a symbiotic relationship that has been there for a very long time. Government has always collaborated with them, and that's why we even have what we call assisted secondary school. Yes, the concept of assisted secondary school, where private ownership is the base, and then the government actually supports in terms of financing and other educational resource supports. Now, if government has arrived at this point to use that as a stopgap as far as the double track is concerned, I do not see the challenge with it. If you look at it, we have over 200,000 students that are in excess of our senior high school and therefore have to be on double track. These 200,000, it cannot be absorbed at a time, and therefore there's a need for the double track. And this double track exists in about 40% of our senior high school. If we want to wait for government to address the infrastructure challenges in this 40% of senior high school, mind you, senior high school are in excess of over 800 in Ghana. So if we want to wait for government to address the infrastructure challenges in this 40% of senior high school that are currently on the double track before government finally brings a stop to the double track, I don't see that happening immediately. In fact, if we were to be very easier, the previous government would have done it. In fact, the previous government gave itself 5 to 7 years to actually do away with a double track. But the huge investment needed to do away with the double track is so much that it was even putting pressure on other subsectors like the basic education. And therefore, if we still want to say, okay, government should address all the infrastructure challenges before doing away with the double track, I think it will continue to exert so much pressure on other subsectors of the education sector, where funds will have to be diverted just to address the infrastructure challenges, and that's not going to happen anytime soon. So yes, bringing in the private schools is good. Private schools have so much demonstrated that they have a capacity, the 200,000 in excess, they have capacity to absorb about 70% of them. In fact, I've cited the proposal from them. They have demonstrated the capacity to absorb 70% of the 200,000 that are in excess. So if they are able to absorb this 70% of students, that is considerably going to reduce the pressure on our schools, where we see students living in deplorable state just to be having some semblance of education. So it's something that we would have to support so that it runs effectively. Support in terms of ensuring that the resources required for these private schools are readily available so that they can actually help in addressing this double track challenge, which is affecting quality of education in the country. And also, in terms of feasibility, it is not something that is coming as an extra cost to government. If it were to be coming as an extra cost to government, then that would be a concern. But right now, whatever government would be paying for a day student, again, the proposal I've cited, the proposal targeting day students now for the policy. Now, the amount government will be paying for these students in public school will still be the same amount of what government will be paying for these students in private schools. So it's not something that's going to come as an extra cost to government.
Yes. Divine, the issue of funding has also came up earlier today concerning the whole budget allocation and everything. But I'm glad that you pointed that out. Thank you so much, Divine Pay. We really do not have time to delve deeper into this matter. But Damascus, if you are still on the line, I want to find out from you, has the ministry officially informed you on the modalities of this extension?
Well, we have been dialoguing with the NDC from opposition time up to the time they formed government. We're even part of their manifesto team, their manifesto committee, and we made written proposals to the ministry, and I believe they are guided by the proposals that we gave the party then, which has formed government, and they are working along with those proposals. I cannot say that they have formally written to us to outline these modalities to us, but we were invited to be part of the press conference to roll this out, and they also took inputs from us before they came out of the policy.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, President, for the Ghana National Association of Private Schools, bringing us his thoughts on the whole development. But let's stay on this matter. Vice President of the National Association of Graduate Teachers, Jacob Anaba, is also on for a conversation on this. Jacob, briefly, I want to find out from you, is NAGAT excited about this development?
Thank you for having me, and good evening to your listeners and viewers. Sure, we are excited because when the concept started in 2017 and there was so much pressure on infrastructure, we proposed to government at the time to, if they could consider the private school that they could come on board that could reduce the pressure on the infrastructure on the public schools that we have. So if today government is announcing that they want to include the private school in the free SHS, I think that we are excited about the development, and we'll be very glad to be partner government to ensure that the system runs well.
Schools and public schools, there's always been disparities when it comes to teacher remuneration and working conditions. How was the association looking to ensure a fair and balanced working conditions across board as far as this policy is concerned?
So sure, that is why I said that we will be looking forward to engage government on this policy, because we don't think that the teacher in the private school should be different from the teacher in the public school. We will be doing the same work, so everyone needs to be paid equally. So we will be canvassing for all those in the private school to be given the same payment as those in the public school. This is an area that will engage our attention in the coming days. We will be glad to meet the Minister and the Director General to have a discussion on this issue.
Thank you so much, Jacob Anaba. He's the Vice President of the National Association of Graduate Teachers, who is also happy about the whole development. But let's speak to Deputy PRO for National Council of Parent Teachers Association, Irene Sam. She joins me on the bulletin. Good to have you on the program, Irene. The Deputy Education Minister issued a stern warning to heads of schools to desist from filing or filling the forms for candidates without consent of the parents and guidance. Has this been an issue in the first place?
Yes, a good evening to your cherished listeners and viewers, and I'm happy for having you here this evening. Yes, it has always been the issue. You know, most often than not, we as parents or guardians would like to share our responsibility to the school management. And even it comes to school selection and all other things, when we should even take the lead, we should be in the lives of our children, in their academic life, their social life, all aspects of their lives. We should be in their lives. So this warning is a step in the right direction, that we parents must rise up to occasion, be being responsible for our work, knowing exactly what is going on in their academic life and the kind of guidance we can give to them. Because we cannot no more send our job or our roles to the school management anymore. They have done enough, and they shouldn't be seen doing certain. When there are mistakes, then we call on them, we blame them. But we should be in the lead, in the forefront, championing the guidance of our world that they need in this kind of selection process.
What do you make of the development of extending free SHS to the private schools? What do you make?
Yes, let me say that it's a laudable idea and it's a laudable experience, policy, because one Ghanaian child is always a Ghanaian child. We shouldn't discriminate whether the child is from a public or a private sector. They are all Ghanaian children. And even looking at the private sector development in terms of education, it has been so great. Most of us send our children to private schools because of the kind of learning outcomes that we envisage from there. So when it comes to free senior high school, then we segregate them from such moves. So let me say that it's laudable, and we also welcome it because they are also part of our association, and we are making sure that this thing also works in the private sector as well, so that it can also help in terms of congestion in the various senior high schools, and they upload some of these burden to the private sector. I believe that we can possibly end the double track system that we are also not privy or we are not happy about all over this year.
Okay, grateful for your time, Irene Sam, for speaking with us. Irene Sam is the Deputy PRO for the National Council of Parent Teachers Association. That brings us to the end of Insight here on GHOne Television. You're welcome back. This is still News Tonight here on GHOne Television. Well, it is time for a STEM revolution as EIB Network is set to introduce a STEM-related programming. Chief Operations Officer of EIB Network, Samtok Singh, is admonishing parents to take a keen interest and allow their children to watch the show on GHOne TV. This call follows EIB Network signing of a Memorandum of Understanding with STEM Aid, a technology-based organization championing STEM education among children. There is more in this report.
To promote and make science, technology, engineering and mathematics (STEM) accessible to children, EIB Network and STEMaid have partnered to design a tailored TV show to be aired on GHOne TV, demonstrating practical techniques in coding and other relevant skills to shape children's thoughts and prepare them to take advantage of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and other emerging technologies. During the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding, the Chief Operating Officer of EIB Network, Samtok Singh, impressed upon parents to make their children available for this life-changing program.
Looking at the future of how the economy is growing and then what the market is moving into, technology and digital. So I think it's very right for us to partner STEMaid for this project. For parents who are serious about their children's education, I think this is a very important area of education that they need to focus on. Whether the child will pick it up or not is that's another matter, but at least we need to expose them to this part of education.
The Chief Executive Officer of STEMAID, Joshua Opoku Ajiman, stated that youth unemployment will become a thing of the past if every child is technology ready, given that both the fourth and fifth industrial revolutions will demand such talents.
We believe that if you look at the future and the future of work, about 70% of all the jobs in the world in the next 10 years are going to the STEM areas. So if we want to prepare our young people for the future of work, then it's very important that we have to ensure that they are having STEM education. It's for everyone, not for selected few, but to be able to make it for everyone. That's where private sector like us will come in. By working with media houses, we're able to amplify the knowledge and the content that we create, and then the solutions we have, be able to make it accessible to everybody through the media stream.
The program is set to take place from June 2025.
Now let's go to Parliament now, because a Speaker of Parliament, Bagbin, has warned MPs the House will not shield anyone from investigation in the name of privileges and immunity. The caution, according to the Speaker, is on the back of many requests from state investigative bodies for some lawmakers to be released for interrogation. In a welcome address, the Speaker admonished MPs to comport themselves.
After months of recess, Speaker of Parliament Bagbin welcomed the MPs, admonishing them to comport themselves as state investigative bodies requested for some lawmakers to be released for interrogation.
Witness in the course of the first meeting of this session fell far below the standard, dignity and honor of a democratic legislature. I am referring to those moments of violent disorder, disgrace, and dishonor that brought the name of the House into disrepute and discredited members in the eyes of right-thinking Ghanaians who look up to Parliament for exemplary leadership. Such incidents of misconduct and distraction are unbecoming of honorable members and must not be repeated. Let me sound this loud and clear. Parliamentary privilege is not immunity from lawful inquiry. It is not a license to disregard the law. The immunities granted to the House and its members are designed to protect the independence of the legislature, not to obstruct justice.
Deputy Minority Leader Patricia Piaget, in her address, slammed the government for what she described as a flawed attempt to remove the CJ.
Audacious attempt by the presidency to undermine judicial independence have reached dangerous proportions. The nation watched in disbelief as the executive launched brazen efforts to remove the Chief Justice of the Republic. At the same time, the President is seeking to pack the Supreme Court with loyalists. 7 nominations in one swoop, clearly designed to bind the hands of the Judicial Council and tilt the highest court in the land towards executive interest.
Majority Leader Mahama Ayariga, on his part, reviewed the Attorney General role in this meeting of Parliament, presents for passage a legislation on rules for removal of justices of the Supreme Court. The Boko Central MP further touted the achievements of the Mahama administration so far.
As representatives of the people, we are reminded of our sacred duty to uphold the Constitution, advance good governance, and work tirelessly to improve the lives of all Ghanaians. The legislative agenda before us is both ambitious and essential, covering economic recovery, social development, security, constitutional reform, and constitutional reforms that will shape the future of our nations. The Majority Caucus remains resolute in its commitment to constructive and bipartisan engagement, ensuring that the business of Parliament is conducted with integrity, transparency, and the utmost respect for democratic principles.
The Gaming Commission is taking steps to tackle the growing concerns of gaming addiction in Ghana, with plans to set up a dedicated rehabilitation center for affected individuals. Acting Gaming Commissioner Emmanuel Kwenu made the announcement at a mental wellness and gaming addiction awareness event in Accra, adding that the facility will offer much needed support and recovery services for those battling addiction. There's more in this report.
The event, organized by the Ghana Gaming Commission in collaboration with the Mental Health Authority, brought together key stakeholders to shed light on the growing concerns around gaming-related addictions. Speaking at the ceremony, Acting Gaming Commissioner Emmanuel Kwenu revealed that plans are underway to establish a dedicated rehabilitation center in Kumasi for individuals battling gaming addictions. He emphasized that until now, gaming addicts have often been referred to general mental health facilities, a situation, he says, is not ideal for addressing the specific nature of their condition.
The Commission currently don't have a rehab, so those who have gambling addiction are sent to the mental health institutions. And we think that we have to have our own rehab with people, psychologists and other health professionals who help them get out of the situation. Thinking has crystallized towards the establishment of our own gaming rehab center. We've done a series of meetings and then we have selected a place in Kumasi, a town in Kumasi, whereby we site the facility, whereby people can go for counseling, treatment, and rehab.
Speaking at the program, Vice Chancellor of the University of Professional Studies, Accra, Professor John Kweku Mensah Mauto, encouraged students and individuals struggling with gaming addictions to speak up and seek help, stressing that acknowledging the problem is the first step towards recovery.
Gaming or betting problems are real, and it's time we begin to talk about it in the open. You don't need to hide your problem. Speak about it and get help you need. Our experts are here to assist anyone who has a problem with gaming or betting addiction.
Meanwhile, as part of efforts to curb gaming addiction, licensed gaming operators are calling on the public to report any unlicensed gaming platforms. They emphasize that eliminating illegal operators is key to promoting responsible gaming and protecting vulnerable individuals.
Simply as we said, if you went to a website and the website doesn't have the license of the Gaming Commission, your first thing to do is not to place any bets. You just go to the Gaming Commission's website, see their number, just place a call and just give them the website you have visited, which you did not see in the Gaming Commission license. Then they will follow up. Then the Gaming Commissioner would take steps to shut down whoever is operating it. When it comes to the addiction, those who are licensed have systems and procedures they are supposed to follow to make sure addiction is controlled.
The planned rehabilitation center marks a new chapter in Ghana's fight against gaming addiction, offering hope, structure, and support for those who need it most.
Well, news coming in now, we are told that some NPP sympathizers have massed up at the Yoko headquarters, protesting arrest and demanding the release of the NPP Ashanti Regional Chairman Bernard Enchi Bosiako, whom we all know as Chairman Wontumi. Our reporter is getting there to bring us up to speed on that. But this is still news tonight here on GHOne Television. We'll be back after this break. You're welcome back. It's time for business, and my colleague Emmanuel Ejabin is in the studio with the very latest.
Well, in our world of business, we're talking about what the president has been saying largely about the nation's debt stock. And President John Dramani Mahama has revealed that recent gains by the Ghanaian cedi have helped reduce the country's debt stock by nearly 150 billion Ghana cedis. At the 60th annual meeting of the African Development Bank and the 51st annual meeting of the African Development Fund in Abidjan, President Mahama explained that the cedi's appreciation was easing Ghana's debt pressure.
The debt restructuring was concluded early this year with our bilateral creditors, and therefore it brought, one, the quantum of debt down, that's the size, but it also stretched out the repayment of the debt. Also, increasingly, one of the push factors for the debt is the strength of the value of the local currency. Our debt continued to multiply because the cedi continued to grow weaker, and so you needed more cedis. Because our public debt is stated in cedis, the weaker the cedi becomes against the foreign currencies, the higher it pushes up your debt. Fortunately, some measures we put in place have recently begun to show results, and the cedi has been strengthening, and so we've reduced our total debt over the last 5 months by almost 150 billion cedis, which is very significant. And so if that trajectory continues, the target of reaching 55 to 58% debt sustainability by 2028 will be reached by the end of this year. And that means that it gives us fiscal space to begin to invest in the most productive sectors of the economy.
And that was our president there, John Dramani Mahama, giving the latest data on the performance of our nation's debt as a country. That's President John Dramani.
Well, Emmanuel, you just brought us what the president has been saying. But to our viewers, the layman out there, what is GDP and what is actually debt?
All right, so speaking of GDP in the economic sense is the value of services, goods produced in the entire country. So if you look at Ghana, our GDP is the value of what we produce here by way of gold, diamond, cocoa, among other things. That is the value of our GDP. But as a person, as an individual, your GDP, let me make this very simple for you. Your GDP here, we are talking about your pocket, what you own, your net worth. That is your GDP. So if you look at your earnings, your salary, you look at your investments, you look at your assets by way of a car, a house, you look at maybe some advances somewhere, that's your entire GDP by way of what you are worth as a person. You relate that from that person perspective to the country level, that is GDP.
So then what exactly is debt to GDP then?
So when we talk about debt to GDP, I'm sure many people have heard of the comment that you owe more than you earn. So as I was relating to an individual person, your GDP is the value of what you earn and what you own. So if you own 2,000 Ghana cedis and you have to owe someone 3,000 cedis, we say that, oh, you owe more than you actually earn. And that's actually a high debt to GDP ratio. The debt to GDP looks at what we as a country have borrowed, both internally through treasury bills and externally through what you call bonds and all of that. That is the debt to GDP. So we compare maybe Ghana's entire borrowings internally and externally as compared to how much we as a country are worth by way of the value of our transactions and services and goods produced here. That is the debt to GDP. So if you look at the Bank of Ghana data as of March 2025, our debt to GDP was around 55%, but our debt was 769 billion Ghana cedis. So simply put, that is our debt to GDP. And you can see it on the screens, our debt to GDP from 2017 up to 2024.
Right. Thank you so much, Emmanuel Ejabin. Always a pleasure. Emmanuel Ejabin has been bringing us business news, and that's it for business here on News Tonight. You're welcome back from the break. This is still News Tonight here on GHOne TV. It's time for sport. Benjamin Yamoa is in the studio with the very latest.
Well, thank you very much. And we go straight away to the stories we have for our listeners and viewers. To the DG for NSA, Yambo for Accra has pledged his support and commitment to repositioning Ghana boxing for a greater national attention and development. He made this promise when the Ghana Boxing Federation and the triumphant National Youth Boxing team, the Black Rockets, paid a courtesy call on him at the Accra Sports Stadium.
Despite severe financial constraints that allowed only 3 out of possible 12 boxers to represent Ghana at the just-ended Africa Youth Boxing Championship in Guinea-Conakry, the Black Rockets delivered an extraordinary performance. The 3-man team, led by assistant coach Joseph Mate, returned home with 3 gold medals, earning Ghana 3rd place overall in the continental stage. During the medal presentation, GBF's first Vice President Daouda Fuseni expressed gratitude to the NSA while calling for increased investment in boxing to unearth and support young talent across the country.
We only need support. So we are calling on the NSA and then the Ministry of Youth and Sports to help us. We have the boys, we have the talent, we can do it. We have always shown the way.
In response, Yao Ampo for Accra expressed admiration for the team's resilience and success in the face of adversity.
If they were leaving without any promises, now they've come back, we need to try to honor them. Now I will personally ensure that something is done. Even though we've not prepared for this, I can't say that. No, we will definitely honor the boy.
He also acknowledged the long-standing neglect of boxing, a sport that has historically brought Ghana immense glory.
All the boxers that went, even if they had gold, silver, bronze, they would have done well. So it shows you that if we take our time, we do good selection, and we go with the aim of winning the ultimate, we can do that.
The young boxers, beaming with pride, took turns assuring the NSA and Ghanaians for their commitment to raising the flag of Ghana high at all future competitions. With the right backing, the Black Rockets can light up the global boxing stage.
Still in some further or more boxing stories, and the GBA has officially resumed arrangements to repatriate the remains of late Nigerian boxer Gabriel Oluwasegun to his home country of Nigeria. This follows a directive from the Minister of Sports and Recreation, Kofi Idi Adams, after weeks of stalled processes due to the formation of a committee to investigate the boxer's tragic death in Ghana.
The Ghana Boxing Authority, in partnership with Osibo Boxing Management and the Nigerian High Commission in Accra, has reactivated steps to transport the body of Nigerian boxer Gabriel Oluwasegun Olanrewaju back to Nigeria. The process, which had been paused following the inauguration of a 7-member committee to probe the cause of death, is now in motion again, this time with a change in strategy. Pressure from the Nigerian Boxing Board of Control has reportedly mounted on both the GBA and Osibo Boxing Management to expedite the return of their countryman's remains.
We are working very hard that this week we should be able to send our brother. The minister is not in the country, but we are praying and we are working hard that before the end of this week, the body will leave to Nigeria, Lagos.
Officials have pledged to keep the public informed at every stage until the airlift is completed and the boxer is laid to rest.
And that's it for Sport Activity for the rest of the bulletin.
Right, Bengazi, thank you so much for bringing us sports news. To the story I told you earlier, we are told that the NPP, some NPP sympathizers have massed up at the Iyoko headquarters, protesting the arrest and demanding release of NPP Ashanti Regional Chairman Bernard Enchi Bosiako, aka Chairman Wuntumi. We have our reporter Peter Adato at the premises. And Peter, if you can hear me, what more are we learning on this particular matter?
Okay, so it is true the NPP, a handful of NPP supporters are here at the front of the Iyoko head office here in Accra. Their issue is that the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the NPP should be released to go home so that they can also go and continue with the case, because for them, they don't understand why he should come voluntarily to the police or the authorities to assist them in investigation, and then he will be detained. So he should be released. Recently, a number of security men are here making sure that those who have gathered here do not do anything until to mar the peace around the area. The incident has actually reduced traffic on the road in front of Yoko to the Kwame Nkrumah Muslim traffic light. But currently, the place is calm. Everybody is waiting, watching, and they are saying that there are more people of supporters coming from other parts of the country to come and join them if the man is not released. So I can assure you that it is true. The Ashanti regional chairman of MPP, Chairman Wontumi, is being detained here, and supporters are coming here to protest his detention.
You are already here.
Supporters and sympathizers, have you seen any of the executives of the party, and have they been speaking to you on what is happening?
Currently, I have not seen any executive. I don't know whether they have gotten here earlier and entered the premises to negotiate with the authority. But I have gotten here. I have not seen any leading figure. I've heard some of the supporters saying former mayor or former ministers or regional minister were here. I have not seen anybody, but I've heard the people saying they have come and they don't understand why the authorities will not allow them to bail the suspects and let them go home. So currently, the numbers are not much, but supporters are here trying to ensure that their man is released.
Right, Mr. Dato, how is Yoko receiving this situation? How have they been reacting to this? Any personnel from Yoko speaking on this?
The authorities that I can see here are the military men and police and the national security who are making sure that those who are coming here do not violate the rules and regulations governing peace and security in this area. I've not seen anybody who should be Yoko head or anybody. The supporters are telling me their leaders, some of them got here earlier and have gone in to negotiate with the authorities. I'm sure the leaders are in there trying to see the leaders of Yoko to discuss the issue and find amicable solutions. I can tell you that the place is calm now. The security men are making sure nobody violates any rule. And initially they were making noise, but they have seen reason and they have calmed down, watching, waiting to see what will happen next.
Thank you so much, Peter Dato. He's our reporter here, bringing us up to speed on what is happening at Yoko premises now. You can see visuals on the screen because some NPP sympathizers, we understand, have massed up at the Yoko headquarters, protesting arrest and demanding release of NPP's Ashanti Regional Chairman, Bernard Entry Bosiako, who we all know as Wontumi. And that brings us to the end of the bulletin here on GHOne television with me, Awisi, Dede, Djangay. Have a wonderful evening.
Hey!